Hey everyone, it's Alex back with HYPEWORKS Podcast. This is episode 57. I'm here with
Jake,
Mr. Jake and Elston. Yeah, great to have you, Elston. So the story, just for anyone who's kind of joining us, is Jake met Elston in Vietnam, and we'll get to that later in the pod. But we were just talking here about like open cloud and how like every week there's a new trend, and how do you keep up with the trends? How do you keep up with the trends, Elston, generally?
Yeah, it's something when like I was in like the corporate world, I always wondered like how people keep in touch with new technologies and stuff. And I realized that now I'm in so many WhatsApp groups, so many communities, so many Slack channels, like it's and Twitter, that it's just all around you. And so when you're in these communities and just groups and friends are all talking about stuff, like they all talk about the same stuff. So I've got a group in Da Nang talking about OpenClaw, a group in London talking about OpenClaw, a group in Lisbon talking about OpenClaw, and then it's Twitter, and yeah, it's cool because you're passively just exposed to all this stuff, right? So you just get to know the right people around you.
And you're in London now, yeah?
Yeah, primarily based in London. Split my time London and Lisbon usually, but I'm London based. The company is London based.
Okay.
Cool. And what's your kind of background, just to kind of fill in the audience a little bit?
Yeah, studied computer science, a software engineer, kind of by trade. Raised in London pretty much most of my entire life. Started working a corporate job, internship, like a big bank, one of the largest banks in the US. Just hated it from a point of like I can't spend the rest of my life here. It was cool as a young graduate kind of thing, glitz and glamour of like the Wall Street offices, and yeah, you get paid a lot when you were that young. But just looking at like where I would be in 15, 20 years, was like literally the guy next to me who didn't seem happy or enjoying his life anymore, just obviously paid more. And I was like, yeah, I gotta get out. So progressively try different kind of ideas on the side, full time as well. And so made a lot of mistakes with co-founders, and yeah, made long story cut short. Eventually, I ended up starting a company called TinyHost, which was an indie project, indie hackers, and launched it as a side project. Slowly grew it, and then basically ended up, being my full time job. I have a small team now. We have had over 1.5 million kind of users, use the platform, thousands of customers, and very very kind of privileged to have this life which is revolved around flexibility, freedom, but also working with people and on an idea you kind of really enjoy. I'm at a nice full circle moment for the indie hacker journey.
Alex, I have to dig out a bit of the content, the topic of last week's episode, because we talked about this and I really want to get your perspective because it's really not talked about enough. So I'm going to layer a few questions, answer them as best you can. But number one, if we talk about that, let's say you're in the office, sometimes it's a bit weird, isn't it, when you're in the corporate and you see somebody that's worked there for 20 years and you're just like, I do not want to be like that. It's a bit of one of those moments. But from that moment where you had that realization, how long did it take you to start? And once you started, how long until you not made revenue? I think that there's always a bit of a misconception about people that make revenue and then have something that's more like a scalable model that can really grow. So that's part one, is the time. And then part two, I want to pick your brains about, there's huge trends at the minute, and I think every trend has like good and bad sides. Don't think it's all good and I don't think it's all bad, but the trend of I'm quitting my job to do 10K a month, but I'm going to do it from anywhere in the world. So I've quit my 9 to 5 and I've bought a one-way ticket. I've burned the boat and I'm going to make a reel every day until I get to 10K. What's your opinion on that? So they're kind of interrelated, but
yeah. Hot questions. So like with every success story, you only ever see the tip of the iceberg. And yeah, I post on Twitter about us being the long journey. I mean, even like the company, which from the point I started and is the most successful company I've made, it's been around like over 5 years, right? To the point where now it's like, really doing amazingly well. But from the point of I had a realization, an internship was probably like, when was that? 12, I think. And so the next year, or it was my third year out of fourth year of university, and that same year I was like, I need to start like working on an idea, a company, sort of social network. I was like, this is really easy. I'll just kind of I can code, I can build a company. But from that point till when I started Tiny Host was at least like 2013, yeah, at least another 7 years, right? 6 7 years basically, um before kind of I rested on something. I arrived on something that was actually going somewhere, right? I had a few things going here and there before, but nothing to the point where there was a trajectory of like where I wanted to be, financial freedom. And also my plans changed, right? Like originally, I was very much into like TechCrunch and reading about raising money and all that kind of stuff. And wanted to go the VC route, YC, all that kind of stuff. And then towards the end of it, I was like, no, I really love the indie hacker journey. It makes so much more sense bootstrapping. So my the goals changed basically, but it was at least like 6 7 years before I landed on the start of something, right? And then another 5 years in the company. So you're talking about 10 12 years of like trying to get something, and it just comes down to having that conviction, right? That you can do something and you want to do something, and that's an important part of like life for you. And just keep on trying. So that's that part of it. And then the second part of it, I think, about quitting a job to make 10K. I think the money side of it is something that definitely attracts a lot of people, and originally obviously attracted me, having that financial freedom. But you have to be in it for a lot more reasons as well, right? Like you have to be interested in tech. Like I see now, like indie hacking and SaaS turning into the dropshipping world. It's like, oh, I can make money for it, and let me just go start a project. I made a landing page. I wrote some articles, got some testimonials, posted on Twitter. But why am I not a 10K MRR now? And it's
Apply
because like
to Y
it's very
Combinator.
cookie cutter template style stuff, right? And you can see it, especially with Lovable, it's so easy. You can think you can make a 10K. I'm quit my job and make a 10K MRR company on the weekend, and then I'm done. Like the rest of my life is on sitting on the beach. And the problem with the stuff, the problem with the tooling, when it becomes more and more accessible, is everyone converges to the same type of product or landing page and that kind of stuff, and then essentially that becomes numb and people just like zone out on that stuff. Where it's like, this is a lovable side or that kind of stuff. And so you really need to understand the mechanics of what it is to start a business, be in it for a long run, enjoy building, problem solving, and so that is other components that you can't ignore, that you need to be committed to do, right? Like, are you committed to solving problems and not getting anywhere for 2 years at least, right? Kind of thing. And are you enjoying that journey? And then, okay, it's a good thing for you to do. But like, the whole like I can quit, go to Bali and make 10K in a month, and then I don't need to work in this corporate job. Like, it's a tough strategy to follow as a drive.
Yeah, I had somebody reach out to me on the weekend. I think that, I encourage them. Don't get me wrong. I encourage everybody to go out there and chase their dream with their vibe coded app. And I got this application, and it was effectively a copy of Maltbook. It's you build your agent on there, and the agent. I think that's a cool concept, by the way. I don't think Maltbook are going to be the only people that run with that as a concept. I think the idea is sound, but the follow up was, we're going to go to Y Combinator, and it's at some point it's like, dude, 6 months ago you were working in real estate sales, and now you're going to Y Combinator. You're 35. You didn't go to Ivy League school. You're not plugged into the network. You're not young anymore, so the chance of investor taking a risk is way lower.
I think the average age of Y Combinator guys is like 19, right? It's really young. It's crazy.
Crazy.
And it's getting younger as well, apparently.
Yeah, it's insane. But look, I mean, the one thing I say about like, capitalism and the entrepreneurship market and the startup world is like it will, it will be it'll sort itself out, right? So if for some reason like you are really well connected, and you come from a non-Ivy League world, and you've got a great idea and you've actually got the raw ingredients, you'll find a way to make it work, right? but a lot of times it's what's the word? It's like a brick in your face, right? And it's about how many bricks in your face are you willing to put up with until you get there, because that's really what defines you. And even if you don't succeed the first time, you learn a lot. And everyone, no matter how much you tell someone, don't try to build the next Facebook, don't try to reinvent the wheel, don't try to raise money, or don't spend 6 months building an app, or find like lots of different co-founders. They'll only learn when they make their lesson, right? Make their mistake themselves, and then eventually, yeah, you'll learn from that, and hopefully your next idea, your next business is better than the last, and it is part of the learning process, right? So you need to fail. That's the ultimate thing, right? Like, do it. You will most likely fail, but it's not like the end of the world. And if you still want to continue after you failed, that is actually the indication that you are, you actually enjoyed this trajectory through life. But if you fail and you're like, this is hard, I don't really like it, like it's yeah, you're not going to get very far.
I agree. I think as well, just to sort of set it, merge this conversation into what we were just saying about OpenClaw when we started, is it always comes in trends. I mean, I'm in automation. I've actually started to notice in the last couple of weeks that I'm picking up a lot of people that go, I don't trust automation, because there was a whole trend of people who wanted to start an AI automation agency, and that lasted for probably about 12 months, starting about 12 months ago. Now there's OpenClaw, that's not the trend. Now there's vibe coding tools, that's not the trend anymore. And I'm starting to get a lot more people come back and go, actually, can we talk about automating something? So I think that especially if you're at something that's like a cutting edge technology, where it could be, again, automation tools, or it could be vibe coded applications, or it could be OpenClaw, open source AI agents, then you're always at risk of, when that trend starts, you also have to, I guess, endure or sustain longer than other people within that pack, because there's that shiny object syndrome that once the next trend comes along, there may even be less competition within that market.
For sure.
I still really need to get like the soundbite though about the burn the boats on the Twitter story. Like it's a massive trend right now. I'm vibe coding an application.
Just burning the boats, basically.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it's like in London, because I imagine, I said to Alex, it's like the digital nomad is like, the version like for the people traffic.
Are these expats and nomads who are already abroad, like working for full-time jobs and then being like, I'm gonna just do it myself?
Yeah, but more recently, there's like more of an uptick of people that are like, I'm back in the UK, I blew out, I spent all my money in Bali, I spent all my money in Bangkok. I learned so many lessons, but now I've got like 10K of debt. There's like a trend, there's like a new wave. So there was like that wave of making a video every day, and now there's a wave of, I'm making this video to tell you that.
But to be fair, there's a fine line between a builder and an influencer, right? Like I see a lot of guys who call themselves builders, but actually they're just influencers. They're selling a course, they're selling some advertising. Like it's not such a bad thing. Like, can you do both? Can you be a builder and an influencer? Because we're talking about indie hacking, and like a lot of the indie hackers get paid to promote other people's products. Like that's kind of like a unwritten rule. Like you see a lot of these guys. Do you remember like last month when all the video models launched, Runway and all these guys, like the Google stuff, and all of a sudden like the feed was full of posts from like supposedly like organic posts, right? People saying, "Oh, try this," when in reality they're getting paid.
I'm seeing the same thing with seed dance right now. Like it's crazy. I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah. So do you think there's like a moral issue there, like of people like doing both, like influencer and builder, or do you think it's nothing, drama of nothing?
No, I think it is, and I think I've been in the indie hacker scene for like more than 5 years, right? So I remember it literally being on indiehackers.com platform, and then Product Hunt, and then now it's on Twitter heavily. And I think yeah, there's a lot of noise, and it's annoying kind of to seep through, and people are just just shouting and trying to kind of be loud and feel frustrated as well, and also feel like a sense of entitlement because they should have been where they are because they did everything like everyone else did, but it didn't work. and so it's a weird scene right now. But I am fortunate to feel it or and have and feel it through a community and communities I'm part of. Right, so there's a really good community in London, amazing one I met in Da Nang, and those are my closest kind of circles that I it's not like that. So it's like a bubble and a good bubble, and so I lean more into that. Twitter is here and there, but yeah, we met on Twitter. Jake and I met on Twitter, so
True.
it's definitely value of it.
Which is right into my next question, because you gave me some advice, and I think it's solid advice. Like, one of the last things that you said to me was that I
Mm,
should build more in public. And I have
mm,
to say, I've actually slowed down a bit recently, but I used to obviously do a lot of YouTube and also LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably my main platform. But building in public, there's always a lot of discussion about this. Some people feel like ideas get taken very
mm.
quickly when they're building in public. Some people are shy. Your perspective on building in public as somebody that's been in the indie hacker scene since the beginning, what is it? I mean, that was advice, and I totally agree. I
Mm.
definitely should be more open about the things that I'm doing. There's ideas and projects that I should share, but I don't. I've got my reasons, which I can't even justify to myself. But a great piece of advice, but I want to hear why
Yeah.
you think it's important.
Again, it's not for everybody, but I mean, just to give understanding on why, like, I've been building in public for a while. Like, my entire journey has been public. You can find indie hacker stuff there. I don't share everything, right? And that's the thing. Like, just because you build in public doesn't mean every single thing you put out there. I've the team that I've built and people I've met have only come because I had some kind of reputation audience online. So, like, for example, like, I managed to hire some really, really great people, whether it's marketing or engineering, just because I've been building in public. And that is kind of, and people have wanted to come along in my journey and work with me because I have been building in public. And that's like a superpower, which you can get only because people know of you, right? In that kind of sense. Yes, the downsides are people try to copy you, and there's clones and stuff like that. But honestly, like, we've had a lot of clones and copycats, but nobody has ended up, basically competing with in that way, kind of thing. Because you can copy someone on the surface, right? But you never really understand what's going on deep down in their head, like why they're doing something like this, or what is their strategy. Like, you put out stuff that is often like is public, but you're already working on stuff which is 2 3 months down the line, right? And that stuff's not public, and so there's all these kind of things which are there. But yeah, for me, I like it. I mean, I like to inspire people. Like, it didn't come from like any you know wealthy kind of backgrounds or anything like that. So for me, it's like this indie hacking has been a way to kind of build a life that I wouldn't have had, and I want to show that it is possible. People still don't believe me that I've done this on Twitter, but you'll have that. But like, I want to show people and prove people that it is possible. You can do it by yourself. You don't need investors. You don't need external validation. You don't need to go to YC. You don't need to have an amazing job. You just can now just do things, right? And
Yeah.
achieve. And so for me, it's giving back in that way as well.
What was I was going to say, Alison, like, when I was looking at your Twitter, like, I saw your tweet back in 3 days ago that went
Mm.
mega viral, the 1 million ARR tweet. I just like that now, actually. Sorry, I missed that. But what was the reaction like to that? Like, maybe you can explain a little bit why you wanted to share that number, and like, what was the general reaction?
Yeah, so I mean, I hadn't shared revenue for a while, mainly because like we were growing, but just constantly sharing revenue after a certain point was it just feels like, for me, like you're boasting. I tried to share kind of big milestones, and I would every indie hacker, right? That milestone is like a big milestone, and so I made it my thing to not post a revenue update until I hit that, and it may be my last revenue update, if I'm honest, because past this point, I think it's a bit of the law of diminishing returns. But the reason for that was, like, if you'd follow my journey and if you'd followed me from like 6 years ago, 5 6 years ago, you can see posts on indie hackers and everything, and you can go back through the timeline. You'd basically see that I did a slow journey through. It wasn't overnight success. Didn't you know invent XYZ and suddenly reach this. It was the slow, consistent, and persistent way of building a business. And we've doubled in revenue kind of every single year. And I wanted to show that this is like a way. This is another kind of this is more evidence of a journey. If you really put energy into it, right? Don't just go deep into a problem. So my journey has been different to others in the sense that I didn't just like want to vibe code something just because it was trendy. I thought something could wanted to exist. I released it, didn't go amazingly well, continued to double down it, but I learned to market, which was super, super important. And that doesn't mean just building in public or saying I did this. It means SEO, it means YouTube, it means, content, it means learning how to do ads, email, all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, sticking to a problem space. There are a lot of ways to build a business. And that's what I learned. Like, I think people don't tell you that when they give you advice that this is one of many ways of doing something, and that's super important to understand. But the way that I've done it is a way that a lot of people don't, and probably I think should. In a sense, is like in a problem space that you are interested in, launch something. Don't analyze it. Launch fast, and then explore that. Right, launch it to everybody, as many people as possible. See who likes it. Ask them why they like it. Double down on that. Just keep pulling the string and keep pulling and pulling and pulling it. And then years later it can be an insane level of traction by making the right decisions. All right, so user driven development by getting feedback. And I think people don't seem to do that. People want to quick buck, in a sense. They want to release something, they want to have instant success, and when they don't, they just quit. And it's Tiny Host has not been kind of an easy journey, and we haven't quit. That's the reason, and we're still here.
I want to ask a follow-up question on.
Sorry, go on,
Jake. You go on. I'll keep this one.
You
go. I'll keep it.
You don't, mate.
No. You go. I'll keep it.
I had a few questions. You build in public. There's always that. How much effort do you put into that content? Like, what is building in public? Is that like daily updates? Is it weekly updates? Do you take a week off? Do you come back? What's the consistency? Is there a drumbeat to it?
Yeah, honestly, like in terms of building in public, I'd say I'm probably one of the worst builders in public. Like I've seen people who are literally like screenshotting codes, new feature updates, and this kind of stuff. Honestly, like most of my building in public has been just stat posting. I'd say like, this is what we've done on YouTube. This is what we've done with ads. This is what we've done in revenue. This is what we've done. How many kind of visitors we've got. That kind of stuff. It's changed in a way. Some and it's not like consistent, I'd say, right? So like even over Christmas I didn't tweet at all for like 2-3 weeks, and I saw my like engagement tank like to like 20, 30, 100 views with like nearly 10k followers already. So there is some kind of consistency you need to do, but you can bring it up. But like there's times where I've just gone quite hard because I've just kind of made like threads, right? And these threads, things that have taken me some time, but not hours, in the sense that a lot of these threads has been content which I have like repurposed, right? So, like I made a YouTube video, I've been on a podcast, literally take that transcript, put it into Claude, say make it as a tweet, go through that tweet, edit it out, and you're done. Like in literally 10-15 minutes, you have a thread. Very useful thread that people will basically see. And so like building public and content is just about like repurposing stuff here and there. So you kind of say things once and you put it on YouTube, write a blog post, put it on Twitter, all that kind of stuff. So it's not a lot of effort for me. I don't think I'm the most deep dived into it. Like I've seen people who like like Peter Levels and things who have kind of give you long threads on how they made X, Y, and Z with this model and that kind of thing. But it's a spectrum. So you choose what you want and how well you feel comfortable with it. But just like I think consistently showing growth is people, that's what people want to see, right? Like consistency of some degree, right? Doesn't mean you have to tweet every single day, but it means updates and you're moving in a direction, and people like seeing a journey, right? And that's what ultimately you need to do if you're building public. Like you're storytelling a journey. However you do that is up to you, but it's a story you're basically putting out.
Is there like times where you've taken like 2-3 weeks off, or do you think you've been fairly consistent
with Twitter?
With everything?
With social media, yes, for sure. Like over Christmas, I was off 2-3 weeks. With building a business, I've never been off 2-3 weeks. I think I've been maybe the most I've been off is probably a week, I think, when I didn't open my laptop. And it's mainly because we're a small team and we're growing and I need to be there. But it doesn't mean I'm 100% every single week, every single day. And you don't need to be. It just means you need to show up. So, over the Christmas period, I was probably, a lot less on it, kind of in terms of like how many hours I was putting in. But I needed that. Everyone needs that. And even the team was a bit more, gave them time off. But then coming the new year, like I'm super on it, right? And so it's times where I'm in London, I'm like super on it because the weather is awful, but I get the energy and everyone around me. But if I'm in Da Nang or Asia, a bit more relaxed, meeting people, connecting people. So I'm always there, but I wouldn't say I'm giving 100% every single day, and I think that's not healthy either. But there is always that, that showing up, I think, on a daily basis.
Alex, what was it?
Yeah, I better ask this question before I forget. So yeah, some good insights. So I think there's a few guys I've seen at your stage where they've made a lot of success over a long period of time with one product. But like the really successful businesses have multiple products. Like it just has to happen, right? If you want to scale. There's no business out there that only sells one thing. So how do you approach this problem? Like, do you think about this like in terms of like building multiple products, like about the product roadmap, or do you kind of still want to focus on one thing? Like how does that work?
So to clarify, do you mean multiple like businesses and startups, or do you
Could be
mean
could be multiple products within your existing business or
yeah?
multiple businesses.
So I don't. I'm actually I have a completely different opinion in the sense that I don't think the biggest people are building are going far with multiple different products, multiple different startups. Let's say, right? So you build an AI photo generator, then you build an open claw kind of thing, then you build something in video.
Or you're Elon, you're doing different industries, something like that.
Yeah, Elon is a exceptional
Yeah.
different character, but I think indie hackers love that. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Like again, you need to enjoy the process and product, and I think people like to build. I'm of a different kind where I just the energy required to start a new product and build an app is I think it's fun to create it, but then you need to market it, you need to grow it, you need to have customer support, and like doing that for like 4 or 5 products just sounds exhausting, right?
Yeah.
For me. And so I'm much of an all-in one product, and I've only worked on Tiny like for the entire duration.
You've never been tempted with like any of the trends we've talked about, or you've never wanted to dip your toe into other stuff? No.
I've been tempted from a more maybe like passion project basically, so play around with it. And there's been things coming in which, but if anything comes up, I'm always trying to figure out how do I make it connected to Tiny, right? And if you look at like the biggest companies, and so the biggest founders, like you look at Dropbox, like or Airbnb, like these guys were working on one startup and compounding, going very far. They didn't start Airbnb plus something else, right? And so it really depends on your goals. If you are, I'm a huge believer in compounding effect, right? And so compound your energy, compound your decisions. But if you're talking about like multiple products within the same startup, yes, obviously at some point that's a different game. Like Apple doesn't just sell computers, sell a lot of different things. And so I put out a tweet based on some conversations, which I agree on in a sense, like which I think is true in the sense that if you build multiple products, you will get a lot of followers because there's a lot of activity, a lot of building public. But if you focus on one product, you won't get as many followers, but you reach a higher revenue, and it's a compounding effect. I think the people like if you look at the people online on indie hackers who are focused really, and like 2, 3, 4 million ARR, they don't have multiple products, right? Who are there as well. Like you get, of course, Peter Levels and those kind of people. The people that already past those kind of revenue goals are working on one solid product. And so for me, like this is a personal choice. I'm lazy in a good way. Like I want to compound. The thought of like the 0 to 1 is so difficult. And so I'd want to, leverage what I've already built, the foundations, the time investment that's there, right, and see how far I can go.
Would you be open to buying products, Elson? Like, would that be a quicker way to
Yeah.
do it? Like a better way, bolt on something or buy stuff?
So that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So like I've been more attracted to buying something where someone is kind of just fed up of it, got to 1K MRR, and there's a lot of people out there. And then using your skill set and knowledge to like really compound and grow it, supercharge it, than starting something from zero. Unless I was super, super compelled on the idea, and could figure out a way. And it's like, what do they say? Like first time founders, all they think about is the product, but second time founders, all they think about is marketing, right? So it's like now if you have an idea or want to do something, assume the product can be built, but how are you going to market and get users, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what I'm always trying to think, and that's not easy in most cases, right? There's not easy strategy a lot of times, and so it's only when things connect and align, like I'm good at SEO. This is a product that's lacking SEO. Great opportunity. That is exciting more to me than like let me build another OpenClaw just because it's exciting. So
the other related question to that is like I see a lot of founders like online say like I don't have money for this, like blah blah blah, and then you're at the other end of the spectrum where you've got capital accumulating now. Like, what's the better position to be in? Is it better to be someone who's kind of resource constrained, or have more capital, or neither, or both? Like, where's
what you mean
does
if
it
you're a
even
first time
matter?
founder?
No, I mean like generally, like yeah, like is it better to be resource constrained as entrepreneur
I think
rather
yeah,
than too much capital?
for sure. I mean that's the whole VC versus bootstrapper kind of journey, right? Like
Exactly, that's where I'm going. Yeah,
yeah,
because I
like
see
I
I see
think
these VCs guys just wasting money like crazy.
yeah,
You know,
when you have just
that's
all this
unbelievable.
flush capital with it, it's really hard to hide the really important part. And it's like, is this a
Yeah.
business? Building a V, and I've been to the Valley, I have friends running VC companies, and I think what people don't know about those companies is they're not all designed to be businesses. Like a lot of these companies, a lot of the money in them is not designed to be an end goal of a profitable business, right? They are funnels to acquire, funnels to build a small team and then acquire. So you can't apply the same logic in some of these
Hmm.
cases to like a traditional business. If you're bootstrapping business, you will only make money from it. The only goal is to make money from it. There's nothing else. You're not building it for an acquihire or like any other reason. You have to make money from it. And so yeah, it's really easy again if you have a lot of cash to kind of hide that stuff. But I have not put a single pound into tiny host basically, right? It's all been sweat equity, that kind of stuff, reinvestment capital we got, that kind of thing. And so it's possible to do it with nothing. So I think it's there. Like a resources are scarce resources are a good thing, right? They help you focus and
Yeah.
work on the right things.
Yeah. Go for it.
Right. It's a really, really open-ended question. Ways to answer it. I think. I mean, I'd probably stick to just future predictions of tech, and it makes sense to focus on just AI, and I think that's a top topic right now. I mean, if we go back to the OpenClaw discussion, I don't think OpenClaw is a fad. I think it is a product or type of product that's here to stay. I think we're going to lean more and more on that, those kind of products, agents as such. But it's way, way far away from anything being, really super useful on a mass scale. And I think there's a lot of work to be done there, and I think there's exciting opportunities around there. Like you can imagine, like an agent just finding you the best podcasts and stuff like that, right? So it's a type of technology that's gonna, do really well. I think with AI, my prediction is, of course, is here to stay. But I think people are now realizing that it's just a tool. It's not like it's not superhuman, and the promises some companies have made, and it's not going to replace you a lot of times. It will replace you if you don't use it. That's the difference, right? And that's what I think people understand. It's like you can't just fight against it. And as an engineer, like if you're not using AI, I'm not going to hire you. Like it makes no sense. You're way slower and more likely to have issues in your code. And so it'll replace you if you don't use it, and it is basically makes you effectively more powerful and super more productive with it. And so I think that is an important trend to kind of follow. And yeah, I mean, and another interesting point is the death of SaaS, right? That's another future thing that people are talking about, which is going to affect the indie market and stuff like that. I think again, there's a lot of hysteria around it. I don't think it's gonna like end SaaS it's definitely gonna, the way like AI has, removed like the low level kind of work, like vibe coding is going to remove the low level apps. You're still going to have some good level apps there, but it's also going to affect the top end of the market. So like one of my predictions is that some of these like top end apps which charge you like enterprise level solutions will charge companies 50, 100 grand a year, right, for a solution. But if you're smart as a company, you can hire somebody to basically vibe code it way more in a more customized way to your requirements and have full control over everything which is there, right? And so I think for like half the price basically a lot of times, right? And so I think that is going to see an interesting kind of trend. But companies, again, they're not the most proactive and tech savvy.
I'll throw one at you, Elston. Okay, yes or no? In the next 10 years, will there be a one-person billion-dollar company?
Yes, I think there will be.
That's what we wanted.
It's going to be tiny.
I'm not going to ask who it is.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the things I think that will happen for sure.
Crazy.
It is crazy to hear, yeah, for sure. So yeah. I think that will be a case.
Could be you if you fire all your staff and run tiny hosts.
I don't know if that counts though. Like, yeah, maybe like that's an interesting point, right? Maybe it happens the other way, where it's like we're all thinking if someone's going to start from zero and get to $1 billion with one dude. Maybe a company who's already at $1 billion can fire everybody and just automate the whole thing.
I think Zach's trying to do that.
$1 billion company.
It needs what
funny you
open
said
clause
it. There's
really
somebody
is.
that put out an indie app that basically allows agents to for humans, right, to do tasks for them. So, like,
Rent a Human. Is it rentahuman.ai? Something like that. Yeah.
Mechanical Turk version of agents. So
crazy.
You never know which way it's gonna swing.
Yeah, we'll get you back on hopefully before 5 years, and we can update on that.
Appreciate it. Yeah. No, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, all the best with your stuff this year as well. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Cool. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.